Hey everybody, GT Cam here. Figured I'd give you guys a little bit on my background. So as a kid, I grew up in basically dad had a machine shop, weld shop thing going on, street rodder of the old school. So I got my teeth cut on cars at a fairly early age. Later on, while everybody in high school was working fast food, I was working in HVAC fabrication after school and also deburring and cutting gears in a machine shop. After that, I went on, spent some time on a production welding line, as well as a sheet metal former. At that point, it was a CNC leaf brake, where I also tended to have a little bit of time on programming and a little bit of time on it was basically a CNC leaf brake, for those of you that know what a leaf brake or a box and pan brake is. Later on, I was managing a firing range where I was also tasked with some of the maintenance there. Further on, I worked in aerospace fabrication now for several years. Previous to that, I'm trying to think, make sure I don't forget anything. I spent like 10 years as a bartender, just to do something different. I've always been sort of a DIY guy. I spent a number of years as a hobby jeeping around the Pacific Northwest and down into Utah, where we'd take TJ Wranglers and go down and hit things like Pritchett Canyon in Moab, Utah, stuff like that. So I got a fairly wide and varied background. Some of my aerospace fabrication background also had me detailed over to doing a little bit of maintenance work. So I got a fairly wide background with hand tools, power tools, machinery. You know, I spent time running CNC lathes, never did much mill work because never had the opportunity, even though there was way more demand for CNC mill than there was CNC lathe. So that gives you guys a little bit of my background. Worked on all sorts of vehicles. I remember an S15 pickup. I have a Nissan Frontier that at some point needs some attention, but I just haven't had the time. If you look in this reflection behind me, you may be able to see the outline of my old Jeep Wrangler sitting over there waiting for me to refabricate the suspension after I finally wore the factory suspension out. So that gives you guys a little bit of my background. I've been down the rabbit hole on hand tools. Hand tools have been sort of a way of life from an early age. I think I was in probably junior high school. My dad gifted me my first little Craftsman set. I probably still have PTSD because that thing had a lid in there and there was a void there. So you had a ratchet on each side and this lid, the lid only held those ratchets in, and then all the sockets were on the bottom side. I quickly got this bright idea that I could stuff some extra tools in there and close the thing. I could close it, but as soon as I opened it, it was a complete yard sale. So the blow molded cases like the DeWalt I showed you guys the other day just triggers that PTSD, because that tradition carried on when I had a bigger set that I received as a gift in high school. Again, had a cover on one side. I'm gonna put tools in there. I don't care that it won't hold them. Yeah, self-fulfilling prophecy right there. Anyways, so that gives you guys a bit of my background. It's been the industrial environments where I've seen the most exposure to proto and Snap-on. And that probably explains too why I have the exposure to proto, because I don't think you see that as much in the automotive technician world, but it's really common in the industrial world. And a lot of what you see in the industrial world is the old Plum-inspired protos with the fully knurled handles. I think Jeff at Jeff's Garage Adventures showed a good example of one a while back, or somewhere in one of his videos. The things had about 36 teeth. They were just a straight knurled handle on them. I hate them. They look good, at least the head does. They're a pretty low profile head, but man, the checkering or knurling on them, I would call it checkering. It's beyond knurling. I've seen checkering like that checkering on those that would rival some 1911 handguns. So that way you guys kind of understand a little bit where I come from. And part of my time in the industrial world has involved being crane certified, forklift certified. You know, everybody's got to have that forklift certification. Let the jokes begin. So a lot of safety stuff. I've been tied to safety. I've been a safety focal. I've been safety committee in industrial environments. So now I find myself overseeing multiple areas where we do thermal processing, chemical processing, etc. English translation on thermal processing: we heat treat shit. And the materials we heat treat are various alloys of nickel cobalt. Some people may know that better as Hastelloy or Inconel. Titanium of various alloys, as well as aluminum. And aluminum heat treatment is freaking bizarre. I'm just gonna leave that out there. Anybody that's in my followers or anybody that happens to watch this and is familiar with aluminum thermal processing can chime in the comments about how weird that stuff is, because yeah, it messes with you when you're used to ferrous metals heat treating and you find out weird things you can do with the aluminum. It gets bizarre. So anyway, that's probably enough of my rambling for now, but that gives you guys a better idea of what my background is. I have an appreciation for some of the nicer tools out there. I like stuff to work. Yeah, I like Toyotas, for instance. I mean, I just want to turn the key and have it work. The Jeep is an exception. When you get into Jeeps, you know it's not a perfect rig, but you also know that, yeah, I break that, I'll just put a bigger, beefier one on. So it just kind of works that way, you know. Oh, you know what? Tires aren't big enough. Let's put bigger tires. Oh, needs more suspension, so we put more suspension on it. Yeah, and just this never-ending snowball of, yeah. Anyway, so with that in mind, you all have a good one. GT Cam out.